Hey YouTube, it's Chuck. Good morning. So I'm out here in my out yard today and I figured I would just carry you guys along with me today. I'm gonna try some different filming techniques. I've got this new GoPro 12 with a Max Lens Mod 2.0 with some wide angles. It only shoots at 4K, but it does a little bit wider angle. And I might also try some filming with it on my chest so you guys can maybe see my hands a little bit better. It may not work, but it may work great. I'd love your feedback. Anyway, we're out here at the out yard today. I'm gonna open these up. This is the hives that had the queen cells last weekend, so maybe we can see if anybody hatched. Don't think it's time for them to have mated yet, but come along. Okay, this is what it looks like hanging on my chest while I'm doing this work. So the intro is where you're gonna get to see me talking to you. So last weekend we looked at this box and hatch on the 19th, and I'm looking at my watch right now. Today is the 23rd, so we are kind of at hatch, and mating should be tomorrow. So there should be some virgins walking around in here. We can at least see the queen cells perhaps, and how they may have hatched out, hopefully. So actually let's just start with this one because this is probably the most interesting thing we got going today, and we want to put it at the beginning of the video. I gave them, if I remember, about a half a jar of sugar last week. Let's see how this looks in here. First glance, I'm saying it looks good. A little oxalic acid strip kind of came up. All right, if I remember right, it was in that center section they had the queen cells. So let's take her apart. Now they are with a virgin, hopefully. Their mood should start to get better if they've got some virgins in here. Now granted, virgins don't emit pheromones. I mean, they know there's a queen in there, but she is not mated yet, so they're not completely happy with virgins like they are once she starts mating and making pheromones. I'm just gonna go back in the sun a little bit. And we should not have any eggs, but I'm seeing something. Sometimes I blow on them a little bit. Holy smokes, I see eggs. That is an interesting find, which means maybe, let me see if, last week I tried to show you guys how I do my magnifier. So I'm gonna show you how I do that again, because last week I didn't do it right. So I come in here and I zoom in with my iPhone and I can magnify it all the way up till I get, look at that, eggs, I'll be darned. So I'm gonna just show you, I can come in here and I can take a picture. What I didn't do last weekend is after I take the picture, I have to share it and save the image. But I'll be darned, now there is eggs. So now I'm on the lookout for a queen. How exciting. I did not expect this. So let me look a little closer. And if you see there, they've chewed this one out. So that hatched and they've chewed it back. Let's keep going, but I'm gonna set this on my rack here so that if there is a queen on it, she's nice and safe. So for her to be laying, there might be 4 chewed out, and look at, see how they're chewed out? Look at that. So these queen cells are chewed out. They were here last week. Look at them, they're all chewed out, which might mean there was a queen that was mating. Okay, so let's go back in time. I put eggs in here because I didn't see a queen, just to give them a backup. They created some new queen cells, more than likely after a queen had hatched but was not yet mated. So they had their own backup. And I think after she came back mated, they broke down those 4 queen cells I saw last week. And we have a queen laying in here somewhere. So we'll see if we find her together. Hopefully this wide angle on my chest is showing you guys what this looks like. If it doesn't, I apologize. I will get better. But at least with this, you're always following me and my arms. All right, I'm gonna set this back in here. Go to the next one, not knowing where she is. There's a lot of bees, and now that they're laying eggs, this is a full production, not production, this is a full-on healthy nuke. Lots of sugar in here from the jar last week, if you can see all that glistening. You know, if I hadn't had sugar on there, I'd call that nectar, but of course it is not nectar, more than likely. It's mostly sugar. So they have food, and they're putting it on this frame here. Lots of open space on this one for her to start laying. I have not seen her yet. I'm gonna keep going and then we'll go backwards. Just for grins, I'm gonna check the lid because I wasn't thinking of a queen when I took that lid off. But I don't see her on the lid either. Outside edge of a frame is always possible, but least likely, especially for a queen that is laying, unless she's a runner. And if she's a runner, and sometimes I label runners on my hives. A runner, to me, is a queen that does not like to be found. They scurry and they hide in the corners. And sometimes when you crack open a hive, she will continue going to the dark spots, which are obviously on the ends. And sometimes you have to pull out all these frames to find that queen. But I'm gonna start back over on the very first frame and look a little closer. The sun is getting a little bit higher so I can see a little bit better right here next to the hive. Sometimes they hide underneath these extended acid strips. See how calm they're behaving? The fact they're not fanning makes me think they could be on this, she could be on this frame. Sometimes the bees will tell you where the queen is, especially if you remove a frame. If you notice the bees start fanning frantically or hearing them roar, that could mean she's no longer in the hive and they're trying to send the hive scent out so she can find her way back. And I'm just looking to see if I see any bees fanning drastically, but look how calm these bees are on this frame. Okay, I don't see her on here, so I'm gonna set this down and take you guys with me to look for it again. This is the frame that had the cells on it. I'm just gonna lift up these each time and make sure she's not under there. They're chewing up those oxalic strips nicely. All this capped brood is from the original frame that I had lots of eggs on, so this is not from her. And these cap cells are hatching out now, so it's going to open up a lot of room here quickly with a lot more bees. Gosh darn it, I don't see her here. My mind is not going to laying worker, which means I'd be looking for lots of cells in the hive. And the other reason I'm not looking for a laying worker is because of the fact they broke down those queen cells. This is a food frame. So for her to be on this frame right now would mean she's not laying and kind of running around because I'm perhaps disrupting the hive. Now she could be in there on the bottom. I mean, she's a young queen. She could be skittish, but to find her on the bottom, I've got to start removing these frames outside of the box. I usually go through them twice before I do that. Yep, I'm gonna set this one out here. She could still be on these frames, so I'm obviously taking a little bit of a risk by setting her there. But if I look closely, it's not too much of a risk. Okay, don't see her there. All right, I'm gonna go back to this frame, and I'm gonna just, as I walk over to the other end and set this on the frame rest. Woo! Almost got stung there. I don't have my veil on because I can't see eggs nearly as well with my veil on. They're getting a little testy, so I need to give them a little bit more smoke. Testy meaning one of them just kind of buzzed me. Did not sting, but. All right, so I'm gonna move this spacer board. The spacer board I leave in here so they don't make any crazy wonky burr comb. But let's see if you guys can see in here with me. Now I don't have a mark on her, so I'm at a disadvantage to finding her in a box. A couple beetles down on the bottom, which is not unusual. So at this point of not finding the queen, I have a risk. I could be disrupting a newly laying queen a little too much. And when I put these frames all back in here, I don't see her, I'm just gonna let them be because they've got eggs, she's laying, and yeah, there's a chance that she is out flying and continuously mating again, but more than likely I'm just not seeing her. That is the likely case here. But disruption of a newly mated queen is a risk. And I'm gonna put them back in slowly and call it a day, but I'll write on the top of the box that I saw eggs. But of course I didn't mark her queen because I didn't find her. See how calm they are on that frame? Gosh, this makes me think she's in there. See the little workers hatching out in here? That's this capped brood that's been in there a few weeks and is hatching out the new young workers. Lots of them hatching out today. See these fuzzy ones? Those are brand new bees. Brand new bees. If they're fuzzy like that, they were just born a few hours ago. Lots of good nurse bees in this hive, which is great to keep them going and to keep these new eggs she's laying fed. But the eggs she's laying now won't hatch for a few more weeks, so there'll be a little bit of a gap in this hive unless I put more eggs in here. And I might have put more eggs in here had I not seen some eggs already. But the fact I'm seeing eggs means we've got a queen. We're just not seeing her. Okay, well, let's put her back together. There are just lots of bees hanging on this frame. Normally, if there was a queen in here, she could be walking underneath these guys, girls, down in these little edges. But who knows, maybe when I post this video, you guys are going to tell me you saw her and I just missed her. Ah, there she is. I win. Okay, so there she is. So, young queen, little bit stubby. Can you see how she's a little bit stubby? That's what a queen looks like after she's successfully mated, but is not fully developed. So that queen right there is our queen, and she looks great. So this is, I'm going to show you guys how I do this again. I'm going to bring out my cage. I'm going to get my marking pen shaken and ready. And when I say ready, I'm double checking the ink is flowing. I'm right-handed, so I need to get the queen's legs in my left hand. Now, there she is. So, wings of a mated queen are handles. She's going to scurry. She could fly. But I'm not as worried about a newly mated queen flying as I am a swarm queen, because she knows where this hive is. I got to be careful of her abdomen. That is the most important part. Her head and her thorax and her legs are a little bit tougher. See how I got her wings, or her legs? I got her legs. She can't go anywhere. Now I can mark her carefully. See that? If I had my scissors, I probably wouldn't clip her because she just mated, and then she's in there. I'm closing that thing. So, marked mated laying queen. I'm setting to the side. Yay! So do you see how hard it can be find? She was a big size queen, so it was just a matter of having the right light and situation. This is my paint marker for those of you wondering. I got this from Bob Benny's visit down to his queen guy down in Florida, Central Florida, Competitive Advantage MPD 15. Keep in my jacket wherever I am. Now I can do a little bit of a rougher hive cleanup. Probably should do some smoke because I'm going to be a little bit rougher now that I know where the queen is. Clean up some of this propolis. I could do a mite check because there's so many nurse bees in here, and it's a good opportunity because I've got the queen. So let me go ahead. Let's do a quick mite check. Queen's safe. Nurse bees on brood is what I want. So I think the best frame for that was going to be this one I just put in here. Remember I was saying how, look at all these bees? Hear them roaring? I can hear them roaring. They're roaring because they can tell she's out. All right, shake this up a little bit. This is a technique. Probably should get in the habit of putting my veil on when I do that, because obviously you're agitating and being rough with the bees to the point that they could get angry. While I'm shaking here, let's kind of get a view of that box I was where she just mated. So now she just mated. Let's see how this leaks. It's leaking on me. This is the leaky lid point I was telling you about this easy check type, but it's fine. I'm still using alcohol. She's mated to that location now. So I would definitely not move that box for several more weeks in case she is just in the middle of her first mating flights. But usually by the time they're laying eggs, she's done. Her thorax looked definitely mated, but not elongated yet. It'll get a little bit longer. Good genetics though, meaning like, I love the fact she was a little bit of a dark tail end. A lot of my queens have had that this year, all but one. I got one really yellow Italian one that mated here in this yard. Okay, that's it. Don't know what we're gonna see, so let's look at it together. Now, because it leaks, my hand is all There we go. All right. Because of the way those strips look, they're chewing them apart. I might have another 0 here. I'm just going by the way they look. Oh, it's not a 0, but I don't know if you guys can see that. It's at a 4. 4. That's less than 2%, so I'm still in my number, right? So for 300 bees, I can have, 3% is 9, so I'm less than 2.5%. Always check, no mites in there. Good. Double check my sieve. 4. So, I am happy with that. Seeing 4, not 0, does kind of tell me where they are. I could possibly put a new strip in there just to take those chewed ones out and to keep them going. Now that they are a growing box and now that they've got a queen. That one still has a little bit. See how it's still got a little crystal in it? That's what I'm talking about. See, that right there still got oxalic acid in it. So I'm going to leave that one there. I might move it though a little bit so that it changes the way they behave. Getting buzzed. See how they just a little, they don't lay exactly the same underneath these strips. See, that one's all chewed out. Gosh, that one looks fine too. 2 strips inside this nuke and they look fine, so I'm gonna just leave them there. They're getting pissy because they can tell their queen is missing. I don't know if you guys can hear the roar. They're just behaving completely differently, as they should. I'm proud of them. They understand what's up. Lots of bees. And I think, let me see if I have one more frame over here. I don't know if I have any more frames. I can make that a 5 framer just to fill out the space. If I have any room. And look, do I got one? Hey, look at that. A little bit of John comb on there. All right, hold on a second. Okay, I'm back with you. All righty, let's put this guy back together now. Get my traps in there. And I'm gonna put that new frame on this outer edge because it's got the least drawn comb on it. And after I'm done squishing all these frames together is when I am going to put that queen back in there because I don't want to squish her. It's just the choice I'm making. I could have put her in there in the middle of one of those frames, but that one. Okay, there she is. She could fly, so I'm going to make sure she can only go down in the way I'm doing this. She's down. All right, that is how I like to put them back. Doesn't always go perfectly like that. Perfectly meaning they can fly. All right, now it's time for notes. So this math doesn't make sense. I got laying on the 28th, that's in 5 days. So they didn't do those queen cells. Those queen cells were backups that we saw last weekend, those 4 queen cells. So now all I know is is laying. So I've got laying on the 23rd. So I will fill that in. I could go backwards on my math if I wanted and say, oh, she was mating on the 18th and she hatched on the 15th. And on the 11th, I could have put her in a nuke and backing up. She was capped on the 6th and she was grafted, or I put eggs in there on the 3rd of September. So that's how that works. So 23, I'm gonna put R with a circle, mark. that's my current state. And while I'm here, I'm gonna give them some more food, let them keep going. I hope this wide angle works on my chest, because it really is easy to work and talk without really worrying. But obviously I may have to do a lot of post editing so you guys can see what I want. This GoPro 12 only does it in 4K with the max lens mod on, but all right, I'm not gonna give them too much. Flow, I saw goldenrod on the railroad tracks yesterday, just starting to bud. So goldenrod is here, I'll say. So the pollen should be coming in from that. Queen's put away, mite check's done, all of that. Follower board, in case I need it, you know, just so it stays a little bit dry. I'm gonna put this follower board back in this other spare nuke, just so it doesn't get rained on as much. That was our primary mission out here today, was to see her. Let's see what my last words here were. Marked on the 16th, strong on the 16th. I must not have taken a note, but I know that that one was strong. So this is just gonna be double checking they're not too strong. If they're too strong, I might need to manage them, but more than likely, these are just gonna be, how do they look? They look great. Lots of bees. Give them a little bit of sugar in their feeder. This is not a production hive for honey, so I'm just growing wax basically here. But I'm seeing a lot of wax in there, so they probably don't need much of this. Good looking hive. Didn't buzz me at all. I'm just keeping these guys, I'm not filling these feeders up. I got my 3-gallon jug with me, but I'm not filling it up completely. See, I don't want to squish those, so I've got to kind of do this a little bit. So I didn't mark last week, so I definitely should continue to keep notes. 9:23. And I'm gonna just say feed. Strong. That's all that's relevant there. This one is my youngest in this box, so it should not be too populated because I just marked her last week. They look okay. Nothing I need to worry about that I can see, so I'm just gonna, no foul odors. I'm not gonna mess with them. I do have room for one more. Starting to propolize that beetle trap up a little bit. I got room for one more frame if I need to draw that out. Take that follower board out and put a frame on the end. Need to bring some more frames over here. I love working these long langs. They're fun, easy. Lots of different ways of doing these boards. See, I got a little gap there, but it's on top of my little divider board. This one was labeled strong, so more than likely I'm gonna see, hear that roar? Same thing, wow. I'd say stronger now. Looking really good there. Let's just kind of peek at the ends here. See how they're doing. Are they drawing any? This is just extra. See that? They're not even drawing that out yet. Let's see the next one. Look at that. Eggs and fresh wax. Solid pattern here. She might be on this frame with these eggs, so I got to be careful I don't shake her or drop her. But they are drawing that and laying it as fast as they can. And the fact that it's nice and white means it's brand new wax. They're not moving wax from older frames. So the sugar's keeping them going. You don't want to turn this brood around because they're using the warmth of these other frames. I'll just show you, for example. So there's that brood you don't want on the ends. If you have a choice, even though you might want to turn it around to encourage a little bit more drawing of the wax on the other side, with brood on it, I would hesitate doing that. This is one of my older foundationless. Lots of food from all this sugar. They really don't need any more food with the honey capped like this on some of these end frames. I'm sorry, lady, I pinched you. She got me with a pinch. Okay, well that's good. So I'm just gonna squeeze these ladies back together. And give them a little bit of food even though they don't need it, just because they are still drawing. They won't make wax off of honey. So the fact I said they had honey, that just means they got stores for feeding their young. Taking that honey off will not make wax. They need thinner syrup, nectar, that's most similar to like less than 1 to 1, 1.5 to 1. So that's just generally why sometimes if you're going to continue feeding, you do it so that it's stimulating wax creation. Everything squished up as much as I can. Nice. Give them the opportunity to run in. All right, that is the long lang. So we are on a success run right now. Let's go back here and take a look at this one, last one. Marked on the 16th as strong, which might mean I need to give them more room. We'll see what we got in here. They finished the jar. If I remember right, I gave them about 1/4 jar. I think I ran out last time. So we'll do the same thing here. Yeah, I can see a lot of bees in there. This one's got one of those Dixie towels I was experimenting with. Last week it didn't have any beetles on it. A couple beetles running on top of that patty. No queen there. All right, I'm taking this out. No beetles 2 weeks in a row. So that is not what I'm after. Double check any beetles under here. Protect it up, don't see any larvae. Okay. See how this hives, they got a couple top entrances that are, I'm not gonna be able, this is an old box, but they love this box. I think I need to give them some room in here. I don't have any more frames, but what I'm going to do, at least I don't think I have any more frames. Let me see what I got over here. Oh, look at that. I did have one, but oh, that's one of my old homemade foundations, and look how it curled up. That's not any good. It'll probably break. I probably should heat that up. But I had this on here. So you see how it fell, and in the heat of the day, it changed shape. I don't know, maybe I can bend it back. No, it cracked. So I need to take this back and soften it up and reform that. Hey YouTube. So I don't know if I clipped this in or not, but I brought this frame back. I'm just gonna let it sit there in the sun for a few minutes. Come back and just try to mash it back on there. I'll show you how it goes. Soften it up just a little bit. So I can kind of mash it back onto that top frame. Can you see that? Just kind of mashing it a little bit. Letting the sun soften this up so it'll bend back like I want. That crack is okay, they'll fix that. Being straight is more important. And into the wire, of course, is probably why this didn't work in the first place. Got these wires down here, you can kind of pinch them in. Show the other side. See how the wire, it's not in there? I can kind of pinch it in. Anyway, I love making this foundation out of my wax. The bees love drawing it out. It's a little bit of a novel thing. This is not what a commercial beekeeper would ever do. It takes too much time. But hey, if you got a lot of wax, you know, and you wonder what to do with it, this is, you know, you can spread it on your foundation frames and you can also make foundation. I did want to show you, this is the silicone mold I made it out of. I got this online. I did order it from China. There are probably places in the US you can get it, but I ordered this one from China. I don't always like doing that, but that's the only place I actually saw it when I bought it. But, you know, it's kind of handy. I've tried many other ways of making foundation. Some of the old guys that are no longer making videos, Fat Bee Man, I believe, is the guy. He used to make just plain old sheets smooth, and that works too, but I don't know. I think they like the cells as far as drawing it out straight. Otherwise, you'll get drone comb and all sorts of different things in areas you might not want. I mean, they'll make drone comb out of this. I shouldn't have even said that, but at least, so you kind of see I've kind of got that back like I wanted. Sun softened it up. That crack is not a big deal. I can mash it together if I wanted. Nice and straight. And this should probably go in a hive. So I will probably put this back in that hive with some other foundation that we just saw. In any case, there you go. It's back. Hope you enjoyed that. So no more frames, but I did want to switch. I think this one's going to grow out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, see how I've got this one without a bottom on it? I'm going to do this to it. Even though I don't have frames, I can come back and just add some. The other thing I was going to do in here, I'll leave that divider board. I brought this other feeder that I start using. I love these. These are Man Lake. There's a few other ones. I ordered some from that Motherload company that doesn't use these straps. But I'm gonna see how that goes in there nice. Now I can put 4 frames in here. I'm just gonna add this here. So I'm not gonna use the jar on this one anymore because I'm gonna leave them closed up. I prefer these internal feeders if you have the vertical room. Now there wasn't a whole lot of sugar water in there. When I come back with some more frames, maybe I'll add some more. But especially if they're empty frames where I want them to draw out some wax. Raising lots of young. Yeah, so I just need some more foundation here. So that's good there. Could switch lids. I need a cap to fill that up. So all I'm going to put on here is 923 strong. Add box. Okay, with the magic of the internet, I brought one of my 3-framer nukes out here just in case I find any frames with queen cells or things like that in the next few weeks or even in the spring. But I wanted to just kind of finish this up with the fact I fixed that frame. I'm going to put it down here in the middle and add some, see I've got wax on these guys, waxed frames here, and let them start drawing out some of this if they so choose. They may not. With that feeder in there, I don't know, see how I can't quite get 4 frames? I wish these were just a little bit narrower. I would deal with 3/4 of a gallon to have a regular frame width, but that is also why I use these divider boards, just like that, so that these bees can draw out this and without making any burr comb over here. But since I didn't, I also, if you remember, didn't fill up this frame a few minutes ago, but I brought these some more sugar. And since I'm wanting these to be completely drawn out, I'm going to give them a lot of sugar. And since it's inside of this hive, these internal feeders usually avoid robbing on stronger hives. And this hive is plenty strong, I think, to avoid robbing on an internal feeder. And almost a gallon probably. That will keep them tidy. There we go. Now these guys have been fed, they got their frames, they got some natural wax in there I wanted to show you. And I've got another box out here in case I need a little mating nuke or something. So, hope you enjoyed today. I think that's all I'm gonna do. This was fun, and hopefully the camera worked for you guys. Give me some comments in the feedback below. If you enjoyed this, consider liking and subscribing. I'm trying to grow the channel here in Jacksonville, Florida. Have a great day.